Get your last.
Yeah, I got the blur on. I can't tell.
Oh, it's blurry.
Should I
It's
get rid of
very
it?
blurry. It's got a nice blur over all that trash heap over your bed back there. You can't really even tell that it's trash. It just looks like a nice bouquet.
Ugh.
Oh, it's off. Oh, God. I'll turn it back on. All right, we're live, Lewis. Ready? Here we go. Boom. And we're live. I love when we go live and I just hear a raspy, exasperated sigh by Lewis Wallace in true form.
I don't like being exasperated, but
I need you to
some days
summon
there's just no other options.
I need you to summon that tiger energy that you have. That same energy, that same vigor with which you go after Cultamac writers when they make typos. You know, your favorite thing.
I wish I had some Tigger energy,
Yeah.
but unfortunately it's more like Eeyore.
I do sense some Eeyore energy about you. So you're gonna have to turn that frown upside down because we actually have a great show. Yeah. Hey guys.
Hello, Cleveland.
Oh man. All right, let's wait for a few people to pile in before we just start going off here. Man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. Holy moly. Kind of out of nowhere too. I mean, what is this? This is June 30th? Normally, it's just an absolute desert of Apple news for the entire summer until we get to, late August when the leaks start happening. But we got all sorts of shiz to talk about. We got Zach Hicks. He was here. He said, "I just want that big HomePod to come back." Baby, you got a double who, baby? Yeah, me too. That, you know what, man? In the pantheon of great Apple analysts, you got Gurman.
He's a reporter.
He's a reporter. Okay.
I wouldn't call him an analyst.
Ming Chi Kuo.
There you go.
And then you got yours truly. Have I not been calling a full-size HomePod for months? Months now. I've been saying there's just too much going on here. It doesn't seem like Apple's ready to let this go. And here we are, Lewis. We got from the Gurminator himself. Apple's working on another full-size. That was one of my favorite stories of the year. Of course, we'll be talking about that. We got Keith Shalong here. He says, "Sup, guys." We got Stefano Corbinelli. Hello. We have Jay Cruz. Hey, y'all. And we've got Jim Zaras official. This is the official Jim Zaras, not the fake one that we had the previous weeks, okay? And he says, "Hello from Greece, guys. Wow. Been listening since episode 1. We got an original member of the Gov Club. A very warm welcome to Jim Zaras. Jim, where in Greece are you? I've traveled all over Greece. You're not on the island of Santorini, are you? That's Lewis's favorite.
I've never made it to Greece. I'm real disappointed about
you
that.
haven't? Oh,
the wife
man,
made it there.
Greece is beautiful. It's like if you go to any of the islands, it's like a desert in the middle of the ocean. So beautiful. He's in North Greece. Okay. Very cool. Well, I think we should go ahead and queue up Mrs. You Know Who and get this show rolling because we got. We're gonna try and make it through all this stuff. I mean,
Pretend we know what we're doing.
yeah, I put too much stuff in here. I don't even know if we're gonna make it through all this stuff, but we're gonna try, and hopefully we can work in this Netflix story at the very end because I actually think this is a really interesting story. So let me queue up Mrs. You Know Who. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, Mrs. D, you're very chipper. Oh yes, I went to a very romantic vacation in Eos with that delicious little El Caney. And he wore my favorite thong. Oh, God. Jeez. I didn't realize LK was into those. Oh, yes. Very tight buns. Oh, gross. Jeez, Lewis, are you hearing this?
Trying to forget it even as it comes out.
My goodness. Their relationship has reached a whole new level. Okay, well, Mrs. D, if you don't mind, I'm going to get the music queued up here. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of Apple hardware to talk about. And let's get this show rolling in 3, 2. Hello, and welcome to CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Eric Elijah. Join me today. Oh, wait a second. What did I do with it? Join me today. There he goes. Oh, wait. Sorry about that.
Whoa.
Sorry, I lost my place. He's a lot like the new M2 MacBook Pro. He's compact. He packs a punch. And if you push him, you're going to get burned. Managing editor of Cultamac, Lewis Wallace is here.
Definitely prone to overheating.
prone to overheating. I should have used that. Oh my goodness, that was perfect. Oh, well, we'll talk about that. I don't know if you guys have been following this M2 MacBook Pro news. Holy moly, it's like Intelville. That's the hottest thing I've ever seen. I was just telling Lewis before we started, I have never seen. So let me back up. There were some thermal tests. Shout out to MaxTech who tests the heck out of all these things when they come out. And they were doing some tests on the new M2 MacBook Pro. I have never seen a CPU get as hot as it did in these tests. Never. The hottest CPU I've ever seen. And I don't mean in a good way. I mean like, you put it on your lap and you got third-degree NAD burn. That's what I'm talking about. I honestly don't even know how you could put that thing on your lap if you're pushing it. And I'm a little concerned about the M2 MacBook Air now after seeing these tests. Jeez.
I need a freaking cough button.
You okay?
It's all gonna be fine.
Oh my goodness. All right, you look like you just finished a session with El Caney over there.
It's not good.
Lewis has got medium and long COVID, so
I think what I have is wide COVID.
why I'm not familiar with wide COVID. Which one is that?
It's the one that just expands.
Oh, it just keeps getting worse and worse until you got it.
On and on and on and on and on.
Oh my goodness.
I
All
guess
right.
deep and wide, long. It's all
Deep
the same.
and wide. Isn't that your anthem? All right. Well, let's go through these notes just real fast so everyone knows what we're talking about. So, I hate to give him credit, but a great story from Gurman this week about all the stuff that we can expect from Apple in the upcoming months and actually for the rest of the year. And just wait till you hear this. I mean, let me just read you a line. I can't help myself. I was going to save this, but so he said some lines that got me truly excited. He said, "From what I've been told, the company is about to embark on one of the most ambitious periods of new products in its history. One of the most ambitious periods of new products in its history with a deluge. A deluge. Doesn't that word just sound, it sounds juicy, doesn't it? A deluge coming between the fall of 2022 and the first half of 2023. So one of the most dense product release cycles in Apple's history, and we got a lot of products to talk about here. And he sprinkled some seriously delicious tidbits out here. We're going to talk about Apple Watch Series 8. We got the giveaway in there. Good. We got a new full-size, I can't even believe that I'm saying this. I really can't. A new full-size HomePod Mini on the way, like the
full-size HomePod Mini.
The full-size HomePod Mini. And by that I mean
softball size.
AKA the full-size HomePod. A redone full-size HomePod that's just newer and improved, which I of course, I'm very excited about. We've got some news on the benchmarks for the M2 MacBook Pro, and this is a wild story. It really is. I never would have expected this to turn into a story, but MaxTech has been hammering on this thing with the benchmarks, and there are some really strange benchmark results coming out of these tests. And we warned you. We said, don't buy this thing, and I hold to that more than ever. But now I'm a little bit worried about the MacBook Air. Oh, you know what I forgot, Lewis?
I have no idea what you forgot.
The tweet.
Oh,
you didn't even ask me for the tweet.
Man, that shows you what kind of week it is, man.
You didn't even ask me for the tweet.
So
there
it is.
We'll talk about that because there's some new developments there, and we're going to be talking about AirPods Pro 2 incoming, and if we have time at the end here, there's a new development with Netflix that I thought we could talk about because this is kind of happening all over the world of streaming, and I don't think you guys are going to like these changes, quite honestly. But let's see here. Before we dive in, I do want to give a very hearty thank you to myself for supporting this episode. CultCloth.co, CultCloth.co. There's just nothing like CultCloth. There's just nothing like it. And if you have a piece of hardware that you love, if you have glasses, sunglasses, lenses, anything that you want to take care of, you want to keep it clean, keep all the dirt, grime, grease, specks off of, nothing does it better than CultCloth. CultCloth is made from a special thread. It goes through this process that breaks down the thread to increase the surface area, and then that thread is woven into these really dense cloths. Like as soon as you pick one up, the density of these things is just beyond compare. This is nothing like that cheap garbage you buy on Amazon. It's not like the thing that came with your product that you bought. I mean, let me just fold this thing in half. Look how thick that
It's
is.
like a washcloth.
Look how thick that thing is. And when you wipe cold cloth across your iPhone, your iPad, your MacBook Pro keyboard, whatever, nothing is left behind but sparkling glasses and metal. You will be surprised how well they work. We've sold thousands and thousands of these things. Yes, Lewis.
How does it work on a furrowed brow?
We could try that. Might be good at maybe cleaning that up, removing some of the shine, making you look a little bit less like Sam the Eagle right now. If you're interested in scoring yourself some cold cloth, not only will you love them, but you'll be supporting me, you'll be supporting the show, which I appreciate. Head on over to cultcloth.co, cultcloth.co. Use code CultCast at checkout, and you'll score yourself a free 8x8 carry cloth with any order. These are great. They are. I don't have one here, do I? No, I don't. They're like the lighter weight version of cold cloth. You can keep them in your case with your glasses, your sunglasses, and keep everything sparkling and clean on the go. Cultcloth.co.
Compared to something like this, a little freebie you get from your
garbage,
eyeglass.
Terrible pieces of garbage. Well, there's one major thing. I mean, not only is the fiber better in cold cloth, which makes it clean better, but there's one thing you'll notice about cold cloth that cloth probably doesn't have, and that is the size. Like, cold cloth is meant to fit over the size of your hand. So like when you're wiping things down, you just have a lot of cloth to work through, and you're not accidentally smudging your glasses with your fingers because like the cloth is so small, which I freaking hate. So all of ours are like way larger than the ones that you would find, and I have a large hand, unlike Alex E. Heath, who has tiny little doll hands. I have a real man's hand.
Do you have a ruler? I don't know. We can't.
What's that? What was that?
Nothing.
I should make a chart. I should hold up I should make like a page that has a representation of Alex E. Heath's tiny little doll hand, and I'll put the page up to my hand so you can see. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you have tiny hands too?
These are gigantic.
Okay. Because the way you held them there like that, it actually made it look exactly like Alex E. Heath hands.
That's because I'm a fantastic actor.
I don't know about that. Next time I see you, I might bring the measuring tape. Those things are a little small.
Oh, look how big.
All right.
It's gigantic.
All right. That might be a camera trick, though. Like, if you hold it way up there, of course it looks big. Anyway, I was saying, before I was really interrupted by Lewis, is they fit over your whole hand, even my hands, which are, large, in charge, Shaq level grabbers, And if you don't believe me, just ask Alex E. Heath's mother.
I want to see you.
What?
Palm a basketball.
Oh, I could probably palm too. One goes on this side. One goes on this side. All right, should we get started, Lewis? Because we're just talking about nothing.
Let's just
now.
call it.
All right, guys, that's all the. All right, let's dive in here. So I'll head to the Bloomberg story first. It's a great story. Gurman published this a few days ago, and it just highlights all the things that Apple is working on, which we're going to be talking about here in 8 minutes. I'm going to skip all the stuff that we've already talked about. Like, we've already talked about iPhone 14. We already know, and so I'm going to focus on, we'll probably spend more time in the stuff that we don't have as much information on, or things that we haven't talked about very much before. So the very first thing is I'll repeat the first line because I think that this is worth repeating. It's just exciting. Gurman says, from what I've been told, the company is about to embark on one of the most ambitious periods of new products in its history, with a deluge coming between the fall of 2022 and the first half of 2023. I'm reading from his story here. The new products will include 4 iPhone 14 models. We knew that. 3 Apple Watch variations, several Macs with M2 and M3 chips, which M3 is going to be 2023, by the way. The company's first mixed reality headset, low-end and high-end iPads, updated AirPods Pro earbuds, a fresh HomePod, and that's the big one, and an upgraded Apple TV, which is interesting because I don't really know if the Apple TV needs an upgrade, but that's cool. So let's just dive in and talk about these things one by one. All of this year's new iPhones will continue to use Lightning to charge the battery. We knew that. He expects the transition to USB-C to happen in 2023. It's definitely going to happen for all Apple's products. They're getting so much pressure now from regulators in the EU. Now Brazil is getting on board. It seems like some of the senators in the U.S. now are piping in about this. So everything will eventually be USB-C, which is cool because I don't know. Aren't you tired of carrying around multiple different chargers or cables for your different Apple devices? It kind of sucks.
Always have the wrong one.
You know what? Yeah, like I needed a lightning cable the other day. Didn't have one. I had the wrong cable. Couldn't charge my device. It's just annoying. Let's see here. Let's move on in this story. Whoopsie. There we go. He expects Apple to release a new 11-inch and 12.9-inch iPad with M2 chips later this year that will work with Stage Manager. But what's more interesting, and we've talked about this before, is he's also expecting a new iPad between 14 and 15 inches. What do you think about that, Lewis? iPad 14 to 15 inches? Is that
I mean, if you're using it as a laptop,
yeah,
it's great.
yeah.
If you're trying to use it as an iPad, it's gigantic.
Yeah, way too big. Way too big to have that in bed, But I just kind of wonder how many people actually use their iPads as laptops. Is that like a real category of people? Because it seems like there's only like a handful of them, and
I don't know. I mean, it's there's plenty, and there's going to be more, right? I mean, the more when this iPad OS 16 comes out, it's got these multitasking things. More people find it possible. I could totally imagine. I mean, if I was in college or something, I was getting my first iPad. Sure, I'd get it. I mean, if you had a choice between a Mac and an iPad, it might make perfect sense to just buy an iPad and a keyboard.
Yeah, I guess it's not for me. I don't know. I'm such a Mac guy. I just love Macs, and what I've realized is that's not as popular as people who love other devices. Like their entire channels, like Front Page Tech, like their entire channel is devoted to just talking about iPhone. Like every video they come out with is like new details, iPhone 14, gonna be better. Oh no, they're dropping this feature. Oh no, it's not gonna be as good as iPhone 15. Now we're talking about iPhone 16. It's like all they talk about because that's the thing that everyone wants to hear about is the iPhone. And I just love Macs. Like those are probably one of my favorite products from Apple aside from the HomePod. Speaking of Macs, we've got some more Macs on the way. And you know what's funny is we've talked about this in the past and it didn't end up coming to fruition. And now here we are. It seems like it's actually going to happen. And that is, we talked about a Mac Mini Pro, And I don't know if that's what they're going to call it, but they actually might call it that. And according to Gurman, they're working on a Mac. Well, he called it a Mac, a Pro Mac Mini.
Well, that's just a Mac Mini with a M2 Pro chip, right?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So they may actually not even call it a Mac Mini Pro. It may just be a Mac Mini with an M2 Pro. Yeah, that's right. God, that's really confusing. So, yeah, they're thinking about adding an M2 Pro to the Mac Mini to make it a little bit more powerful. And they are also apparently going to be adding that to the MacBook Air down the line, which is really interesting. So they're diversifying. Well, they're adding more models of computers that aren't quite Pro, but are going to have a more Pro price tag, I'm sure. So that if you don't need like a M2 Max, you can get the M2 Pro and have it be in one of their more consumer-oriented devices. I think that's actually pretty cool. A new M2 Mac Mini, of course, and then M2 Pro, M2 Max, 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros on the way, M2 Ultra and M2 Extreme Mac Pro. Now, this is interesting because what he doesn't say is the Mac Studio. I think the Mac Studio is going to remain wholly unchanged for the next year. Like, it may even miss out on the M2 Ultra, M2 Extreme Mac Pro. That's just a guess. He said Mac Pro specifically, and I don't think they're going to be updating their Pro model computers every year. I think they're going to be doing them every other year because if you spent $5,000 on a Mac Pro or a Mac Studio, wouldn't you be a little annoyed if 1 year later they basically obsoleted it? Wouldn't that annoy you, Lewis?
Oh, yeah, but then, plenty of things annoy me.
Well, that is true. You're the wrong person to ask that question.
Yeah, jeez.
Because everything does annoy you. So I don't think that we're going to see an update to the Mac Studio in the next year. I think the big attention is going to be on the Mac Pro. Let's see here. What else? Outside of the Mac and the iPad Pro, there is one more M2 device that Gurman expects to appear, and we all do, obviously. And that is the mixed reality headset. He says, I'm told the latest internal incarnations of this device run the M2 chip along with 16 gigabytes of RAM. Nobody cares, but they're the details for it.
Jeez.
Well, I'd speak the truth, Lewis.
I don't know, man. I walked by the Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah.
The Meta Quest 2 at
Yeah.
the Costco the other day, and I just keep thinking,
Yeah.
just want to know what it's like. I know it's going to be horrible, but
No, I don't think so. I think the Oculus Quest is actually a great device, but how much was it? $400?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's $400. I
They've got
mean, if
liberal return policy.
with a 90-day return policy. So you have the Oculus Quest that's $300 to $400 depending on which model you get, and they drop even lower than that when they go on sale, which happens all the time. But you're talking about the M2 mixed reality headset for $3,000 probably. $3,000. Now what are you thinking?
I'm thinking
Not a
I'd rather have
chance.
a new car.
Not a chance in hell. So I think that's where most people are going to be. Like, they're going to be excited to see it. They'll be excited to try it out, but I don't think anyone's going to spend $3,000. If that's what it ends up costing, no one's going to spend $3,000 to buy one of these things.
They should have got the thing out before crypto crashed.
Yeah, no kidding. When they were sending out the stimmy checks,
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Now it's like, what, 3,000 what?
3,000.
like-
Yeah,
Fill up my car 3 times.
right. Well, two if you have a V8. Yeah. So now, or in the next year, will probably be a rough time to release a really premium device like this when people are struggling to put gas in their car. But there are plenty of rich tech bros out there who will buy it. And then, of course, there's the entire fleet of tech journalists who will be tripping over themselves to get the clicks on the first reviews for this device. So they'll all be buying it and telling you how great it is.
Get them all in a room and let them bump into each other.
with Tim Cook leering on past them like that famous Zuckerberg picture. He's
Oh,
just
my
about to
God.
break out and laugh maniacally as they're
That
all.
was terrible.
Yeah. All right, so let's continue here, Lewis. Let's talk about Apple Watch Series 8. It's going to be kind of a bummer. Let's fill the people in.
Yeah, this is this is one of those weird headlines. Don't expect a speed boost in Apple Watch Series 8. And this is also coming from Gurman. He says, for those hoping for a faster chip in this year's Apple Watch, I'm told the S8 chip will have the same specifications as the S7, which is also the same as the S6.
Yeah.
Which I start to wonder, like, well, okay, if they all have the same specifications, why do they have different names? But
because
apparently there's slight differences, right? I mean, but gee whiz, yeah. I mean, honestly though, does the Apple Watch need to be faster? No, it doesn't. It's totally responsive and fine. I got a 6. It's fine.
yeah, me too, and it is really responsive. But people come to expect having speed boosts every year.
They
You know what I mean?
They expect a different name for the same chip.
Yeah, well, they expect when they are buying a new product that it doesn't have the exact same internals as the old product that they just got rid of.
Like their iPhone 13.
Again, I'm one of the only people that this seems to bother, but no one seems to care about this. But I do think it's a weird move. It would be like if you, I guess I come from the world of PC, right? I used to build my own PCs. In fact, the Colt Commander that we're streaming on here live, I built this PC as well. And specs matter. When you're buying a new piece of hardware, the reason you're buying it is because it performs better than the last piece that you had. And so the notion to me that you would buy something that has the same performance as the last thing that you just got rid of is a very strange premise. It's the first time in my lifetime that I can remember seeing a product come out that doesn't really have any major performance gains. Instead, they use the marketing team to be like, okay, well, what features can we include on this new product that we're going to omit from the older product that could totally support it, but we're going to omit it because it's not the new product anymore and we need to sell this new product. I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is why call it a different thing, right? I mean, but
Yeah, well, because they need to sell it. Let's see
I
here.
mean,
Yeah.
I wonder how many people are looking at going, oh, I'm going to upgrade versus people who are just like, I'm going to buy my first one. Or, I have Series 3. I mean, if you have a Series 3, you're definitely going to upgrade this year, right? Because it's not going to be supported anymore,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point, for people that are buying a new one, none of this matters. But if you're thinking about upgrading, then I think it is important to the conversation. Well, what am I getting? Why would I pay to upgrade? Which is why you and I both have Series 6 and not Series 7. Because it's just not worth paying for an Apple Watch for the minor differences that you get. A slightly bigger screen. It's just not worth it. Now, hopefully they come out with this new redesigned chassis, which Gurman doesn't mention anything about. So my guess is...
He's written about that in the past, and so it's... Oh, by the way, did you see the mock-ups on Cult of Mac?
Yeah, I did. I'm looking at them right now.
You going to buy one?
Well, if it looks like this, if it looks like this Ian Zelbo masterpiece. So for those of you listening, is that not what you're talking about?
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well,
I'll find it for you.
Okay, find it for me while I vamp. For those of you listening, which is most of you, we're talking about that squared off design that was supposed to come out last year. That was one of the greatest upsets in Apple keynote history when they released a Apple Watch that looked exactly like the one that they already had. But if it's this squared off design where it looks more like one of the new iPhones, one of the new iPads, the same design language, I would actually upgrade. I would actually upgrade for that. Okay, you gonna post that in there?
There you go.
Oh, okay. The rugged edition. I may have seen this.
Yeah, Graham Bauer made these mock-ups for us. This is just his. I mean, it's total. Like, this is what I think it should look like, right?
Oh,
or it possibly
goodness.
might. You're not gonna buy it?
Actually, I don't know. I don't know. It looks like a case.
Yeah.
So he did a mock-up. Yeah, I mean, that looks rugged for sure.
Very Garmin.
Yeah. It kind of looks like a case though, but I see where he's going with this. It looks like a Casio G-Shock watch with an iPhone inside. I wouldn't be opposed to this.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what that's going to look like. Because honestly, if it looks like that, I'm probably not going to go for it.
Yeah.
Because I don't. I'm not an extreme athlete. I mean, that's,
come on, Lewis.
You're
being humble.
Don't need to be.
You wake up a pretty good sweat when you're flogging the Cult of Mac writers for their typos, don't you?
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think, chat? I'm looking at these Apple Watch Explorer Edition. That's a cool name, actually. What do you guys think? Rugged? Rugged enough for you?
Yes, it with a kind of a stretchy link band that you wouldn't have to, you just pull it on and it'd work.
Yeah. Jeff Druin coming in with the harsh reality.
Oh,
looks like a cheap Amazon case.
Oh, jeez.
Jay Cruz he's got a big old nay.
I think the thing that
Remax is
like
gonna
the
do a
most
hard pass. Yeah.
I think it's the colors. What I think.
Yeah.
I don't like the most about. I mean, if you look at only the black one.
Yeah.
Then it seems more. I don't know, just more. I don't want to say it looks better. It looks more basic and more like something that a commando would wear, right, or a dive watch or something.
So for those of you just joining now, it looks like we had a huge influx of people here. We're looking at a concept mock-up, okay? This is not the actual Tim Cook edition. The Apple Watch Explorer Tim Cook edition. This is a mock-up that we're looking at. And I was just gauging everyone's interest, whether or not they'd be interested in this rugged-looking Apple Watch. So there's a couple things that I wanted to mention about the Apple Watch Series 8, Lewis. I think we should at least call out what the changes probably are and what the differences will be between Series 8 and Series 7. Do you want to fill us in here?
Sure.
We've talked about some of this in the past, but we should at least call it out.
Yeah. So what? Yeah. What? Just the changes you're getting. This is software stuff, right? I mean,
exactly. Like look at those last two bullet points there.
Changes to workout tracking.
Yep.
Big things coming. Upgrades like multi-sport workouts. So people like me who are really into swimming and then biking and then running and then scaling mountains all in a row. Also, it's got Graham wrote about these things. Graham's the guy who did those mock-ups. He wrote about how some of the stuff that they've got coming for runners is going to be, cool. I mean, I look at it, I'm like, well, okay, I guess. I mean, I couldn't be more clueless about what runners need to know. Let's see, elevation tracking.
Yep.
Training zones.
Oh yeah.
And let's see. Oh yeah, Gurman is also saying he expects a low power mode. This is like a low power mode that's actually useful as opposed to just a low power mode that's nothing but a time. So they've talked about that, and this might. I think that this might be the one thing that you get with the Series 8 watch, right?
Yeah.
Like it might be dependent on new hardware. So
if they did a new design and they gave us a low power mode that actually still let you see the watch face, that'd be a go for me.
That's enough for you.
That'd be enough for me.
Wow.
Just the low power mode update itself might be enough to get me to switch amongst the other small changes that they'll probably make, because I really hate the low power mode on the current Apple Watch. I mean, it basically makes the watch useless, right? Like unless you press and hold down a button for like a second, it doesn't show you the time. I don't really find that to be useful in any way. And now that I have a watch that shows the watch face all the time with the Series 6, well, actually it was the Series 5 that did that, wasn't it? I think the always on watch face. Once you get used to that, it's hard to go back. And so having a low power mode that actually allows you to continue seeing the watch, that to me would be a hugely useful feature. I just love my Apple Watch. I mean, it's the best alarm clock I've ever had. And especially when I go places, when I travel, like we'll go to my friend's house sometimes and we'll just hang out there for like a week, and they don't have like a clock in the room. So like, like when you go to bed, like you'll wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, what time is it? You have no idea. Like you have to be wearing a watch. And sometimes I forget to charge my Apple Watch when I'm over there. And if that happens and then you can't see the watch face, now all of a sudden you don't know what time it is. It's just really annoying. So I would love to see a watch face that's always on, regardless of if it's in low power mode or not. So there you go. There's your Apple Watch Series 8 news. Kind of a mixture of, minor features. Nothing really super exciting here. And the major bummer is, like, from a speed perspective, it seems like Apple is going to just basically rebrand the S7, which was a rebranded S6. Call it the S8, throw it in the box, get that $350 from you.
And was it actually just rebranded? I mean, I remember reading, like, we were saying, oh, it's the same chip, but does it not have some different features?
It has, I mean, we just cover the different features.
No, the chip.
Oh, you mean the actual SoC?
The chip.
I'm sure it will be improved in some small ways, because I don't remember how the S7 was improved over the S6.
Right, that's what I was asking. Like, what
it was improved in some small ways. Yeah.
Everybody says, oh, it's the same chip, but it's not quite exactly the same, right?
No, it's not. It's not exactly the same.
Not literally the same chip with a different name.
My recollection of it was that they made as many small changes as needed to be made in order to change the name of it legally and not get sued.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Okay,
that was my recollection of it. Other than that, the S7 was I mean, it's pretty much an S6. Just like it kind of seems like the M2. We can get into this, but we don't need to do it right now. But it kind of seems like the M2 is just an overclocked M1, and they activated some more cores. That's the way it seems to me, which is one of the reasons why I think it runs so dang hot, because they just overclocked it, which is a CPU strategy as old as time. Like that's what Intel did forever. Like they would just release a certain architecture, and then every year they would bump the clock speed a little bit. And maybe, I don't know if they added any additional cores. It wouldn't surprise me if they did. And then they would use that architecture for a few years, and then they would switch to a new architecture. And then they would bump the clock speeds every so often to keep it fresh. It seems to be a strategy that now Apple's using too. All right, let's see here. Before we move on, Lewis, I think that you should take a moment to talk here about the giveaway.
We got fresh giveaway.
Speaking of hot items,
just went live yesterday.
Oh, look at this. It has a nightlight on it.
Yeah. This is a MagSafe compatible charging stand, 4-in-1, with a built-in nightlight. So this thing will charge your iPhone 12 or 13 on the magnetic thing there. It will charge your Apple Watch. It will charge your AirPods on a little flat wireless
thing. Look at that thing.
And it's even got a USB out the back you can charge something else with. So this thing's pretty awesome. I don't know if you ever used. I haven't used this particular charging stand, but I have used a MagSafe charging stand.
Yeah,
and that is fantastic because it's just so easy to get the phone on there.
Oh yeah,
properly every time.
Oh yeah,
man. The other day I was using my non-MagSafe charger, and I got up in the morning and my phone was dead because the stupid camera bump got stuck on the top of it, right? And so it wasn't quite in the exact right place. It was slightly off kilter. I woke up 0 battery. Man, that is a bad feeling when you wake up and you got no iPhone.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even, like on the road or anything. I'm in my house and I still felt like, oh my God, I'm not prepared for the day. Anyway, so this thing is from Switch Easy. It's called the Mag Power 4-in-1 Magnetic Wireless Charging Stand. That's pretty amazingly creative name.
Oh yeah.
Mag Power, that's
Love
okay.
it.
We'll go with that. Mag Power 4-in-1. Okay. We're giving away 2 of these things. I think they list for like $84. You can buy one now if you want to. Just if you just cannot wait for this contest to be over. I think the contest goes for a little over a week. Let's see here. Where are we selling? We're selling those in the Cult of Mac store.
Oh my goodness.
$84.99. If you just can't wait, you can go there. So I think this is a fine little compact thing. It's just by your in your nightstand or whatever. It's got the little night light that apparently doesn't blind you. It's got several levels of lighting, and so kind of like a mood light or whatever. Looks like a great little thing. Go to cultofmac.com, scroll down to the giveaway area, click on that link that says win this, and you got a chance. All you got to do is enter. It's free to enter, sign up, get our free newsletter, which, by the way, is fantastic. And you'll just, honestly, we should charge for the newsletter.
I think you should start charging. And I think it's probably worth 75 cents a month. At least. At least. All right, so cultofmac.com, scroll down, and click on the giveaway, and you'll be able to enter it there. The website just went teats up. Oh, there we go.
What?
Hey, look at those 2 attractive guys right there. Look at that.
What?
Great Star Trek shirt. Oh, man, look at all these videos we got,
about?
Louis. We are just lining them up. Holy moly. Look at all those.
Talking about?
Great thumbnails. Oh, it loaded. It took a second.
Ooh.
God, look at that. I am a thumbnail machine, Louis. These thumbnails look great. They look great. Oh, man. There's one that I used Bob Ross in.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
that's classic.
Very
so there you go. And I always say, you might as well try to enter because you got a decent chance. You got a decent chance away.
I always feel like you're throwing some shade at our fantastic giveaway. I'd like to thank Switch Easy for giving us those 2 things we can give away to our fantastic listeners and readers. And I guarantee you get one of those on your desk, your life is going to be better than it was.
Oh, dude, especially with MagSafe. So check this out. Sorry for those of you watching, you can't see this, but I bought this cheap little it's just a MagSafe stand. It doesn't even charge. It's just a stand. And I bought this for my iPhone. It just snaps on, right? And then I can just keep this on my desk, and now I have a control center for my phone. It's just oh shoot.
Looks great.
You know what?
Where'd you buy that from? Please
Amazon?
tell me it wasn't the Cult of Mac store.
No. This is back alley Shanghai.
Amazon
cheap Chinese.
Crap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is their new product section. Amazon.crap. And no, it's pretty good. It was only $15 too. Shocking. It wasn't that expensive. It's made of metal, and I'm not trying to sell you this thing. I'm just trying to say having a MagSafe stand for your phone is so much more convenient than having it on your table or having it on a flat charger. Oh man, the MagSafe chargers and the stands are great.
Yeah, and I've used the Belkin one, which is basically it's very similar to the one that we're talking about here, and it is really great. You set your phone anywhere near it, it just sucks it right on there, and there it is charging. The Belkin one's actually really fast too. Cult of Mac store, we actually have some stands. They're not exactly like what you got there, but in that similar fashion, but that hold the Apple charging puck in place, right? So it's not just a stand, it's also charging. And you're right. That's the one thing I hate about that little MagSafe charger. It sits on your desk, and it's always hard to get. It's just floppy and flimsy feeling. I wish I had a nice metal thing that I could just put that in, because it would be a lot more useful and pleasant.
Yeah. I don't like the charging stands as much when they have the built-in charging, because sometimes when I want to put my phone down, I don't actually want my phone to be charged. But I realize I'm in the minority on this because I'm obsessive about battery quality.
Wow.
I try not, so I don't charge my phone until it needs to be charged. I don't leave it on the charger every night. I just charge it when it needs to be charged because that
man.
makes the battery last a lot longer. Like my battery health on my iPhone is still like, I think it's still at 100%. So it's the best way to prolong your battery life is to not charge it, like all the time when it doesn't need to be charged.
Can't do it.
Let me see here. We got a good comment here from IK Dave. Welcome, IK Dave. He says the only change on the S7 was the addition of fast charging. That's it.
Oh, well, that would be handy.
Yes, that would be handy, but is that change enough to change the model of the actual
Right.
SoC? It's like,
and what would be the change for the S8? Faster charging?
Faster charging. Well, we added the
Even
ER.
faster charging.
I need that $500 now. Lewis, we gotta get moving.
Well,
here.
we better pick up the pace.
Oh my gosh, look at this. We have got so many stories left.
Oh my God, the scrolling never stops.
Oh my goodness. How are we gonna get through all this stuff? Let's see here. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about one of the best stories that's ever been written. I hope that's not an overstatement. Here we go. my friends, I told you so. There's something happening with the HomePod. There's just, I keep saying, they keep releasing software updates for the original HomePod. Like for a dead product, there just seems to be too much activity happening here for it to truly be dead. I don't know what ended up happening with the original HomePod. I think the story is very weird. They just pulled it. And then the HomePod, because it has such a cult following, just started increasing in price everywhere. I mean, if you want to buy a brand new HomePod, they're like $600 on eBay. It's crazy. Even the used ones are like $350, $400. Well, it looks like we have a brand new HomePod, full-size HomePod on the way. So get your Band-Aids ready. Here we go. Apple's working on a new HomePod that could launch next year with a new S8 chip. This is coming from the Germinator. The smart speaker reportedly will be similar in size to the original HomePod rather than the HomePod Mini. Apple is also working on an Apple TV with an A14 chip and more RAM. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. In his latest edition of Power On newsletter, Gurman says that there is a new HomePod underway, and it will have an updated display on top of it, maybe with some sort of like multi-touch functionality. Here's what I think might be happening. I think they pulled it, and they're like, okay, what can we make this thing? How can we make this thing more compelling, and how can we reduce the manufacturing cost? And maybe they've figured that out. Like, I bet you when they release this, it's going to be cheaper than it was in some way. Now, hopefully, that doesn't mean that they are going to reduce the audio quality on the speaker, right? Because one of the reasons the HomePod was so magical, and you can go back to my YouTube channel and watch my like audio reaction to this thing, which was totally authentic. It has one of the most incredible sound signatures I've heard in any speaker, let alone a speaker that costs less than $1,000. They really sound beautiful. And Apple, they slaved and spent years custom crafting the components, building everything custom, and fine-tuning the audio signature of the speaker. And it just sounds like an angel singing to you when the audio is on it. It sounds like an angel of God singing a song into your ear. And then you put two of them in stereo mode. So it's like it's an ethereal experience, Lewis.
Man, the other day we were watching something on Netflix, and we're watching it. It's coming through the HomePod. It's like, yeah, it sounds all right. It didn't sound that great, and then all of a sudden, boom! It kicked into the stereo mode. Like for some reason, only one of them was working.
Oh, that
right?
happens to me all the time.
And oh my God, it was like twice as good, twice as awesome. My wife's like, "Wow, what happened?" Like, yeah, it's
Did you turn to her and say, amazing. "I fixed it, honey"?
Yeah, right.
Don't worry, I fixed it.
I think the what happened is why was it crappy for a minute there? That's the big what
That's
happened.
one of my big complaints about HomePods is, I mean, for the most part they work really well, right? But they are a little quirky. Like I can't tell you how many times I've experienced one of them just not working. It will just stop playing audio, and exactly what you said happens. It will just have audio on one of the speakers, which makes the volume much lower. It's a lot harder to hear them when there's only one. And then I have to restart it, and sometimes that doesn't work, and sometimes I have to like literally reset the speakers.
Oh man, I haven't had to do that.
You haven't had to do that? That's happened to me
no.
several times where I literally have to reset the HomePod and then repair them in stereo mode, which it takes like 10 minutes. It's not that big of a deal. But, it's a pain. It doesn't happen often. Most of the time they work flawlessly, but They're one of my favorite products that Apple has ever released. I mean,
I've
just
heard
period.
that.
Yeah, I just
I've
love
heard
them. I just love them. And one of them, and I mentioned this before, like one of my HomePods has that little
Oh no.
issue. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, apparently that's like the of death. Like if your HomePod starts making that sound, it means that eventually, sometime soon, it's just going to croak. And one of my HomePods is doing that every once in a while. It just goes.
I wonder what that is.
But that's been
I've
happening
never
for
actually
months and
seen-
months and months.
Never seen like anybody just say exactly what that is, pinpoint what is failing.
Streamlined here. This is a comment that El Caney would probably appreciate. HomePods are like British sports cars. They're great when they're working. Yeah, baby. I should have had that on the soundboard. That's a great analogy. Yeah. Sci-fi
Yeah.
stuff says, I've had to reset mine to resolve HomeKit issues. Oh, yeah. Same here. They are very quirky. I have a HomePod stereo pair, and it astounds all my friends. Streamlined. Yeah, they really do sound incredible. One of my favorite audio experiences that
Yeah.
I've had anyway. And they're so versatile. Sorry, I don't mean to go on a tangent here. You all already know how I feel about HomePods. They're so versatile because you can AirPlay to them. You can use them as the sound for your television, for your video games, and then you can also listen to music on them. There's just nothing else. If you're in the Apple ecosystem, there's just nothing else like them. And I think Apple missed a big opportunity. They could have released like the Apple TV sound or the Apple TV HomePod sound pack. So you get like 4 HomePods and then like a giant subwoofer or something like that would have killed. I think people would have bought it. Sony essentially did that. They released a wireless television sound system for like $1,800. That was essentially that. That's all it was 4 wireless satellite speakers, and then there was a wireless subwoofer that you could buy that increased the price like $500. Apple could have done that. And they still can. TC. So there's your HomePod news. I was very excited to hear this. In fact, I've been at full mast ever since I saw this story. And my nips are just aching, Lewis, because they've been at diamond level for, 6 days now?
Holy.
Yeah, I'm thinking about...
We need to call the authorities.
The authorities?
EMS, how about that?
We heard that there were some nips at full mast. Double diamonds. There they are. Get them. No, I was thinking I might have to lance them, Lewis. Relieve some of the pressure.
Oh, man. That is. We have
You know
to
what?
put a mature rating on this one or
For
something.
the hardcore Apple fans, that's something that we've all had to go through at some point.
I like the word lance.
You gotta lance your nipples. All right. I think that's all the notable hardware stuff. I mean, we could go on about iPads and all this other stuff, but we've already been talking for like an hour and a half. So I think we should move on. Let's talk about these M2 MacBook Pros, Lewis, because the story just keeps getting wackier.
Yeah.
And we tried to warn everyone, but I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that the story would have taken a turn the way that it did.
Yeah, this one is shocking. Entry-level M2 MacBook Pro's SSD is slower than M1 MacBook Pro. That's right. It's what you always want, right? You're talking about barely getting any upgrade. How about you get an actual noticeable downgrade?
Negative upgrade, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I want to be extremely clear. We are talking about the base model 256 gigabyte SSD version of the M2 MacBook Pro. So that's the one that we're talking about here, because it seems like this problem actually doesn't affect the SSDs that are larger than that. But if you're thinking about getting a base model, do not do it.
Yeah, and this is your test conducted by Max Tech on YouTube. They said that this thing, the one with the 256 gigabyte storage, is 50% slower than the outgoing model. 50% slower. That is a step backward. You probably know about all these test benchmarks. They Blackmagic's SSD write test.
Oh yeah, that's classic.
Speeds of blah blah. I can't even. My eyes are starting to glaze over reading it. But suffice to say, much slower. 30% slower.
30% slower, Lewis.
Yeah. And,
the M1 MacBook or the M2 MacBook Pro in SSD tests, in that test, which specifically tests SSD speeds, was 30% slower.
Yeah, and the reason, this is what's interesting, right? Apple only uses a single 256 gigabyte NAND. NAND chip right on the base model. Whereas the M1 MacBook Pro, even the base model, features 228 gigabyte storage chips. And NAND storage performs better in parallel, which is why higher density SSDs offer better read-write speeds.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was actually surprised to hear what the reason was, because it seems like the MacBook Pros use their SSDs in like RAID 0, which if you know anything about RAID is a way of writing to like SSDs and like hard disks and stuff. RAID 0 means it will write to both sequentially, and that's what gives them their speed. So like the SSDs themselves are not as fast as the overall speed that you're getting, but when you pair them together, you can write to both at the same time. It drastically increases the speed. So since they only put one SSD chip in the base model MacBook Pro, you're only getting half the speed of having two chips, which is kind of a major bummer, and also kind of stunning that they went that direction. I don't know why they would go that direction.
Yeah.
Because it severely limits the performance of the M2 MacBook Pro. And there are some other problems with the MacBook Pro too.
I saw that headline, and I thought it was a typo. I thought we had screwed it up.
Yeah.
Because I thought, sure, what? How can that be?
I watched all the Max Tech videos, which just go check out their YouTube channel. They're cranking them out, and they were surprised too. In fact, it was funny, man. So as Max is like sitting there talking about the results in the benchmarks, you can hear Vadim in the background. He's like, "What? No way! No way!" And he's like, he can barely believe what he's seeing, and he's just like yelling out responses because he's holding the camera as Max is like doing the test, and he can't believe what he's seeing. It was truly surprising. It was a lot of fun though. I mean, no one here listening to the sound of my voice is going to buy this giant turd of an M2 MacBook Pro.
Wow.
So we don't have to worry about that. But warn your friends, warn your family. Don't let friends buy the M2 MacBook Pro base edition. At least get the one with bigger SSD space. But the other thing about this is, well, I'm about to steal your thunder, Liz, because we should talk about performance here
My
as well.
thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so noticeable impact on performance in daily use is their conclusion on this, right?
Yeah.
Testing the same model we're just talking about, the one that's 50% slower, while exporting 50 images from Lightroom with multiple apps open in the background, the M1 MacBook Pro took 3 minutes and 36 seconds, whereas the 2022 MacBook Pro with the M2 was noticeably slower at 4 minutes and 12 seconds.
Yeah, we don't need to go through all these different
Faster
test
chip,
results. But
slower results.
yeah. Essentially what this boils down to is like the M2 MacBook Pro with the 256 gigabyte SSD is suffering in all these benchmarks and all these tests because the SSD just isn't fast enough. So don't buy it. But one of the other,
Way
and
to
I
boil
think,
that down to actionable information.
and to compound the matter. Now, this was the truly stunning part of this story. Is during these tests, they were seeing the M2 MacBook Pro thermal throttle itself, which means that it was getting so hot that it had to reduce its own clock speed so that the chip could be cooled. And these temperatures were the highest temperatures that I've ever seen in any benchmark ever. Like, they usually look at the temperatures in Celsius, not Fahrenheit. And the M2 chip was reaching like 105 degrees Celsius, which I think the prior hottest I've ever seen might have been an Intel chip that reached like 101. I didn't even know they could get to 105.
Water boils at 100.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like that is crazy. So that's 212 degrees Fahrenheit.
So potentially, I guess it wouldn't be that hot on your poor little legs.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I mean, Max Tech didn't talk about how hot it got underneath, but in the area where under the keyboard where the M2 chip was, I think it got up to like 45 degrees Celsius. What's that, Lewis? Can you do that math on the fly here?
No.
Just Google it.
Okay.
So the M2, it's funny. The M2 MacBook Pro,
113 degrees, Arizona.
Okay.
Arizona.
Okay, so that's NADSINGE territory.
That's
Yeah.
warm.
Yeah, that's very hot. And so the M2 MacBook Pro, I was talking about this last week. I was kind of making fun of it because I was like, well, why? This machine seems kind of weird. It seems like kind of pointless. You don't need to have a computer with a fan because it's not going to get that hot because the M1 didn't get that hot. Well, it seems like the M2 is like just basically an overclocked version of the M1. I mean, I'm just theorizing here. I don't actually know. And they added a couple cores to make it a little bit faster in multi-core tests. But essentially, it seems like an overclocked M1. And when you overclock something, you generally have to increase the voltage to support the faster speed, and that makes the chip run hotter. So the M2 is running. It's literally the hottest chip I've ever seen. I've never seen a chip that's hotter than this one, and I really wonder how that's going to translate into real world performance in tests that are strenuous over time. Like, it just seems like the chip is going to have to throttle itself. It also means that you may not be able to keep this thing on your lap, because I can barely keep my Intel MacBook Pro on my lap, and it does not get this hot. Like, it gets so hot on the bottom that it burns my legs. So I can't even keep it on my lap. And the M2 in this MacBook Pro is getting up to 105. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if you just couldn't keep this on your lap.
So you watched this video, right? I mean, what were they doing when this, like, this was like a benchmark test, right? I mean, like, in everyday use, this isn't going to happen, right?
Well, if you're editing videos, if you are using the processor in any kind of like, in any scenario where it's being used over a long period of time, then yeah, I could totally see this happening. I don't think that these tests are not indicative of real world performance, because there's a lot of scenarios where you are going to be pushing on the chip for long periods of time. So we'll have to wait and see. And then, of course, the other thing is, like, what does this mean for the MacBook Air? Because the MacBook Air doesn't even have a fan. It's just, I mean, it's basically like an iPad. So they're definitely going to have to thermal throttle the MacBook Air with the M2 chip. I think this is going to be the next story that we hear is MacBook Air gets very hot, MacBook Air throttles. I think that's going to be the very next story when that thing comes out. So it was Mac Rumors that came out and said that the MacBook Air is going to be released on July 15th. So it's probably going to go on pre-sale next week, which would be July 8th. On Friday, July 8th is probably when it's going to go for pre-sale. And so we'll be getting reviews of this the next
Singegate.
2-3 weeks. It's going to be Singegate. That thing is going to get so dang hot. I have a feeling it's going to get so dang hot that you won't even be able to keep it on your lap. But either that or they'll just thermal throttle the heck out of that thing, and it just won't perform as well as you expect it to because it's going to be thermal throttled. What do you think about that, chat? What do you guys think? Am I on track? Am I on track here? Jason says, you have obviously never used an Intel 12900. Yeah, you're right. I have it. I water cool my 12th gen Intel, and it still throttles sometimes. Wow, that is wild. Even when you even when you water cool it. IKF Dave, if you're buying the M2 MacBook Pro to transcode 8K RAW, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, but we're not even talking about 8K. I mean, we're talking about 4K here. I think it's going to get screaming high at 4K. Plus, it has the ProRes encoders now. So clearly, they're aiming it at people who want to edit video. Why else would they do that? And if you're editing video on this thing, I think it's going to get hot. But again, we'll see. I'm just kind of connecting the dots here. We'll see what actually happens. But this is a wild development. I mean, after the M1 performance being as good as it was and not getting hot at all and barely getting warm, now we've gone from that to one of the hottest chips that I've literally ever seen. I mean, it's got to be in the top 5 hottest chips that has ever existed.
Seems really out of character. I don't know. I was shocked when I saw all these headlines about this computer.
Cave Dave, Max Text Test. Try saying that 3 times fast. Max Text Test was 8K Canon RAW with 2 heavy-duty LUTs. Yeah, but I think that test is indicative of pushing the M2 for a long period of time. I mean, it doesn't have to be a Final Cut Pro test. It could be you doing any kind of like long-form calculation. It's going to get hot. It's going to be hot. Going to get hot. It's going to be a hot one.
I bet they should have saved this for the fall.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's right when it's cold. It doesn't matter.
M2 actually, hand warmer.
Yeah, keeps your lap warm. Let's see here. Let's talk about AirPods Pro 2, Lewis, and then we'll wrap up with this Netflix story.
All right. Yeah. So sounds like these are coming later this year, right? Excuse me, AirPods Pro 2. This information is coming from a source called 52 Audio,
Yeah, which I've never
which
heard of.
I think they nailed the AirPods 3 look before those came out. So I
Okay.
think that was like their claim to fame. Um, kind of a recently emerging source, right?
Hmm.
Audio improvements from AirPods 3 include combination of customized high amplitude drive units and high dynamic range amplifiers. I don't even actually know what any of that means. Supposedly self-adaptive ANC for better listening experience. So better ANC, that'd be nice. Better processor design for longer battery life, which would also be great. Let's see here. And aside from audio improvements, supposedly they're going to have the ability to monitor the wearer's heart rate,
That'd be cool. That'd be
and
pretty
also,
cool.
great for runners.
Hmm.
Maybe you don't have to wear an Apple Watch anymore to get that information. There's also some speculation. This is, we've heard that before, and also they're saying maybe they'll be able to do body temperature to the ears.
Yeah.
So I mean, that starts it start to be weird, right? I mean, that becomes like you've got a watch, you got these things in your ears. Next thing you know, you got a
Just makes
goggle
them
on your face.
more accurate.
You're just like,
they're measuring everything.
oh my god, it's like constant metrics about everything you do. I mean, oh my god, it gets a little weird. AirPods Pro charging case supposedly going to get new features. A built-in microphone
Oh yeah, now that's
will
the
allow
one.
the case to work in tandem to act as a hearing aid,
Yeah, that's cool.
which is kind of wild. You can already do that with your phone, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
sounds like the
Mhm.
same feature. So you'd basically put the case near whoever's talking, so you'd be able to
Or you
hear.
just leave your case behind and listen to the whole conversation. Get
And
all the details.
and here's what we really want: case will supposedly support Find My.
Yes.
So instead of having to buy a case that allows you to attach an AirTag tracker, which starts to add up, this is just be right in there, right? Which, come on, but they should build this into everything.
Yeah, totally. How did Anchor beat them to the Find My support? Right? Like the Anchor Liberty Pros, is that what they're called? Their earbuds, they support Find My.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can find your AirPods with it, but not the case by itself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And isn't the case
and
supposed to have a speaker in it so that you can
have it
play
make a noise now.
play the chime? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I would like to have it have a light, like so you can light it up.
Yeah, you want some LG or LGBTQ. You want some RGB action.
I just like to be able. I mean, because honestly, how many times have I lost that thing? Right? Sometimes it's
Oh,
difficult to
dude, I
find it.
lose it all the time. I lose that dang thing all the time.
Especially if it's night. You drop it on the floor and
Yep.
you don't want to turn on the light. You want to
Yeah.
find it. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd think that they could like blink the LED or something, or I don't know.
Yeah. Come on.
Come
Apple.
on. Come on. Come on. All right. So there you go. There's all the hardware stuff. Oh my gosh. How long have we been going?
It's like a deluge.
It's like a giant. You know what? Why am I surprised? I told everyone it was going to be a deluge. It took us an hour and a half to get through it. Let's wrap up with a little conversation just real quick on commercials coming to Netflix here, Lewis. And I could probably talk 30 minutes about this. But it's interesting, isn't it? Netflix has been losing subscribers, and now they are going to be adding a lower tier with commercials. It's started. This is always what happens. Remember when cable used to be free of commercials, right? Like the reason you paid for cable is because you were paying for the programming and you didn't have commercials. And then what do? They started showing commercials. And I don't know about you, I freaking hate seeing commercials in my streaming content. Like it used to be one commercial every, 5 to 10 minutes. And now it's like every 5 or 10 minutes you see like 4 commercials. And what are they going to do? They're going to just keep packing it with ads. So I was kind of bummed out to see this. And people are like, oh, it doesn't affect you. It doesn't mean that you're going to have to see commercials if you pay for one of their higher tiers. And I'm like, no, that's true. But what they're going to do is this is going to be the baseline of their service price now, right? So you can get into Netflix for like whatever they end up charging for this, $5 a month or something. And then they're going to raise the price from there, and all the services are going to increase in price. And then they'll be like, well, if you want the cheap one, just go with the one that has commercials. And eventually this plan will be like the $9.99 a month plan with commercials. You know what I mean?
I hope you're wrong, because you're absolutely right. I mean, every once in a while I get, rooked into watching something on Hulu or something, one of these ad-supported things, and it's the absolute worst. I mean,
Yeah.
You can't fast forward them. I mean, it's been so long since I've watched a commercial, right? I mean,
Same
because
here.
with a DVR, got really used to being able to just skip over everything.
Yep.
And then with all the streaming services, no ads. Although I get a little bit annoyed by the ads that Apple puts on for their own shows. It's
Yeah.
like, let's watch the latest episode. Oh, how about this minute long? No, I don't want to watch it. And fumble around with the Siri remote, drop it, finally find it, push the wrong button. Next thing you know, you're just like screaming once again. Anyway, it seems kind of inevitable that more and more of these people are going to want to put in ads, because Netflix, they've been having some problems. They've lost subscribers. So much competition now, and they've been talking about ways to make more money, and this is going to be one of them. They think you're going to get more people by saying, "Come on in for free."
And the ads for this stuff are, to your point, they're inescapable, right? Like it's the best kind of ads for them, because they're like, gotcha, you can't go anywhere. You can't pause it. You can't skip it. I guess you can pause it, but you can't skip it.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You can pause it and watch it later.
You can finish the ad.
Right.
Yeah, but you're not getting out of watching that ad.
Yeah.
And I subscribe to Paramount Plus, and they have a $4.99 tier that's ad supported. And I was like, you know what? I'll try it. And it was unbearable, man. Like I thought it was going to be like one or two ads, like I said, every time they did an ad break. No, they play like 4 or 5 ads. You're sitting there for like 2-3 minutes watching ads.
You get that ticker pops up, right? It's like, 3 minutes and 30 seconds more of ads. And you're just like, what?
Like, I don't want to.
3 minutes?
You're getting greedy now. Yeah. Now you're just getting greedy. And Disney Plus is doing the same thing. They're going to be adding ads. They're going to be adding a new tier of service that's supported by ads.
Right. And so I can't even remember which services I've seen this on or why I was watching.
Hulu is one of them. I think Hulu was the first. They were the very first ones to add ads.
I think that may be what it was. Like I searched for some old movie, and it turned up, and then it's like, okay, well, whatever. But then they just pop them in. They're not even like in between scenes, right? It's just like suddenly the thing stops, jerks you out of the story, and now here's some ad that has absolutely nothing to do with anything you care about. God, terrible, terrible. It's like you didn't think it was possible that they would make TV worse, but they did.
Yeah, the streaming with the mandatory ads is literally the only way you could have made it worse.
Yeah,
because now you can't even get
well
them
done
anyway. Yeah, exactly. They're all applauding themselves, but I mean, if you're willing to spend the $5 a month, or if you only want to spend that and you're willing to go through the ads, I mean, more power to you. I couldn't do it, but I would rather not have a streaming service. Like Netflix had a $5 tier, and their next tier was like, $10 a month. I would rather not have the service at all. Like if I were like, I don't want to spend $10 a month, and I could spend $5 to get the tier ad supported, I would rather just not have Netflix than do the commercial tier, because I really hate commercials that much. And inevitably what they're going to do is they're going to continue jacking up the prices of all their plans. And the ad-supported plan is going to be the one that costs $10 a month. And you're still going to have to sit there and watch all the ads. It's only a matter of time. And they're going to just keep adding more and more and more ads. So you got to speak with your wallet, Lewis. You got to just be like, no, thank you. I'm going to just get Apple TV Plus, which this just makes Apple TV Plus more of a value. I mean, it's just $5 a month. And unlike Netflix, who I really don't know how people could get themselves to spend $20 a month on a streaming plan from Netflix. Like that is bonkers to me. So like if you want 4K quality from Netflix, they want to charge you $20 a month for that. How is that even possible? Apple TV Plus is $5 a month. Now they don't have as much content, so there's that.
They do not,
of course. But it's a quarter of the price, and they've got a lot of great content now, and it's all 4K. And Dolby Atmos. I mean, it's the best quality. And Netflix tries to get you on quality, right? So their lowest priced plan is $10 a month. And it's not even in HD. It's not even in HD in 2022 for $10 a month. That's wild.
Was
that's
that
wild.
like VHS quality?
Now streaming in Betamax quality. Wow, Betamax was at 320p. I don't mean to just complain here. We're dropping viewers precipitously, but I just couldn't believe this. And I was just reading was it like I don't know if it was like a poll or something that said Apple TV Plus, people love their shows more than they love the shows from other streaming networks. Do you know what I'm talking about? Did you see that?
Yeah. There's been a couple stories in the past couple weeks. Apple TV has been ranking high, very high in consumer satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. It's like it's been a steady drumbeat of good news about Apple TV Plus lately. All kinds of things. They've had some shows that are actually like, in the top 10. Well, we talked about that last week. For All Mankind made it the top 10.
That was truly shocking to me.
They've had a ton of shows lately. They're starting to get some traction, and their library, they are relentlessly growing it, and it is getting to the point now where you go in there and it's like, oh, there's a lot of things to watch.
Yeah.
So it's nowhere near anything like Netflix, but I mean, if you've never subscribed to it, you go there now, you could amuse yourself for quite some time.
Yeah, I don't mean to bag on Netflix. I think they have a lot of interesting content. Like their pricing structure is what is just wacky to me. It's like, $20 a month for a streaming service. That is, I just can't believe that there are people out there paying that.
It's hard to believe it got that high that fast.
Yeah, and it's gonna just keep going up from there. I get a HBO Max through AT&T, which is, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, if you sign up for an unlimited plan, we'll give you HBO Max for, I think it's $5 a month.
Nice.
Actually, no, I take that back. I think it's free. I think the plan is like $5 more per month, but they give you HBO Max for free. I was like, dude, this is great. So, and HBO Max is one of my favorite streaming services now. Anyway, I just wanted to complain and see what you all think about ads on on streaming services. I don't like the direction this is heading.
No.
We got Wesley Davenport here saying, I got Disney Plus and ESPN Plus free through my Amex Platinum card. That's actually a really, I'm glad that you brought that up, because some credit cards will pay for your streaming services, and Amex is one of them. Like, so read what you qualify for, because sometimes they'll actually pay you, they'll reimburse you for things that you buy. Now, isn't like the Amex Platinum, isn't the, what do they call it? The yearly fee? What's that thing called? The membership fee? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Your annual fee.
Annual fee. Thanks. Isn't it like $200 a month or $200 a year?
That's Platinum was, I think, all those things are weird, right? Like it might be $250 a month, but then they give you, a free airplane companion ticket. So it's like, how much is it really costing?
I just went through that. Weird. We were trying to figure out what airline miles card to get, and I was like, dude, this is dizzying to figure out like which one is actually worth the fee.
And what you're talking about with like, oh, well, do you get this with that, or does this offer this? I mean, if you had the time to go in and look at, page 37 of all your different things that you have, I mean, it's hard to say how many things would actually be, you could get reimbursed for, but who has the time?
Okay, hold on a second. So Wesley Davenport is saying the annual fee for his Amex Platinum, guess how much it is, Louis?
$500.
$550.
Whoa.
$550. Okay. You got to tell us
he's
what
rolling with the big boys.
What could possibly be worth $550 annual fee? I mean, clearly you must be working that system. I mean, that's who they try to get, right?
Probably
like the people who take
at
advantage of all the benefits.
Airport lounges, right? Centurion Lounge.
There you go. He's drank like $9,000 worth of beer and crab cakes in the Centurion Lounge.
Oh, man, I could go for some beer and crab cakes right now.
I used to love crab, but then I got allergic to it all of a sudden. Like midway through my life, I all of a sudden became allergic to crab. Isn't that weird?
Wait,
it sucks.
That's interesting trivia that I never had any idea about.
Yeah. So now whenever I eat like crab, my throat just starts itching like crazy. And then if I swallow it, like my stomach feels like it's itching. Itching stomach, Louis.
I know, that's a new one, man. I've never heard of itching stomach.
Yeah, well, it's not one that you want, believe me. All right, it looks like Wesley Davenport is pieced out of here. We'll never know.
He's on the way to the airport. He's Centurion Lounge.
He's in the Centurion Lounge eating crab cakes. He doesn't have time to be listening to this show. So I think we're going to go ahead and get the music going. Oh, there he goes. He says lounges. There you go. You guessed it, lounges. $200 airline credit, clear credit. I don't know what that means.
Clear is the thing that gets you through the.
The TSA.
Yeah.
Yeah, no body cavity searches for him. He's getting through that. He's getting through that right away. No cavity searches. That would be worth the $550 right there. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. If there's something we missed, something that you want to talk to us about, we're both on Twitter. I'm at Irfan, ERFON. Lewis is at Lewis Walsh. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. Well, thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. Oh, he says Clear is $179. For a mere $179, you could avoid the body cavity search at the airport.
I've never used Clear. I've only used TSA Pre and Global Entry, which is awesome.
Global Entry into your rear. I feel like it'd be worth.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
I said I think it'd be worth the $179 to skip the full body search. Don't you think? Especially if you're coming back from China.
I think Clear is like a iris scan or something.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer that. I'm all about avoiding that full body cavity search. I mean, if they're like, tell you what, you can do the body cavity search or just give me $179, I'd be like, do you guys take Apple Pay? I'd be breaking out my phone right there.
Yeah.
$550 for an annual membership.
That's a little pricey.
That's for the big boys. This guy's balling. He's balling in ways I'll never understand. Have a good weekend, everyone. Bye.